Good afternoon, everyone, from wherever you are in the world, enjoying this global reset and international lockdown. I am in South Africa, and my name is Pam Le Noury. Some of you will recognize me. I've been one of Noble Caledonia's expedition leaders for about 12 years now, and we decided to get together and entertain you during lockdown to tell you a little bit about our favorite places. And for me, it's fairly obvious which would be my favorite place. It's my own backyard, I guess. It's where I was born, it's where I grew up, it's where I've spent most of my career, and that is the Indian Ocean. So I used to do whale watching charters in the Indian Ocean. I did a couple of research cruises, and it was about 12 years ago when I found out about this little ship, the Island Sky, that was cruising around all the far out of reach islands of the Indian Ocean, and they were looking for qualified staff like me to come and guide. And I couldn't believe my luck. I thought I won the lotto to find a job like this. When I first came on board the Island Sky, I would wake up at 4 in the morning just thinking, where are we now? And I just couldn't wait to go and see what we were going to go and explore that next day. So it's no surprise that I've stuck around for 12 years and been to just about everywhere else in the world since. Another big favorite of mine is Antarctica, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Indian Ocean now. So what is it about the Indian Ocean that sits with me, or why I find it so special? There's the Africa factor, and that is hard to explain, but I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. It's that intangible thing that sits with you long after you visit. It's so different to the lives that you came from, and you look at these extraordinary circumstances, extraordinary people, extraordinary animals, and it's just so far removed from your day-to-day lives at home and what you're used to, and it really, I think, moves and touches people in ways that's hard to describe. Madagascar, which is a favorite of mine in the Indian Ocean, is one of the poorest countries in the world, and yet one of the richest in biodiversity and these most magnificent ecosystems. You have areas in Maswala, for example, where we can take the Zodiacs ashore, and just a few meters up the beach we can step into the most pristine primary rainforests you could imagine anywhere in the world. It's really mind-boggling. On the anchorage of the ship, you just look around you and everywhere you see is this pristine forest. And then you creep into that forest, mud on your shoes, mosquito, bug spray from head to toe, and then they spot a chameleon. And some of them are little brachysia, it's the size of your fingernail. Others are massive and you just didn't even see them. The whole adventure of finding the lemurs. All of the animals there, just about all of them, are endemic to Madagascar, meaning you won't see them anywhere else in the world. And you do have these iconic creatures like lemurs, chameleons, baobabs that you're going to see there. So people love it. It's a super adventure. You're going to get, like I said, your feet muddy and bug spray from head to toe. It's not a holiday in the sense, but it's mind-boggling. It's amazing. You have these long car journeys and strange cars where you're like, ooh, potholed roads, eventually through these, open landscapes, and eventually, through communities, and you just, the journey, you're seeing so many things on the side of the road, you're like, whoa, that sort of car photography, you think, I can't wait to show people this when I get home, they won't believe it. So Madagascar's all that, and if you're really into that kind of adventure, I would pick a Madagascar type of itinerary, the ones that sort of start in Mauritius and they end down in Tulia, and you virtually do the whole, you virtually circumnavigate Madagascar from a practical point of view. But another nice way to combine that sort of intrepid type of visit to Madagascar is then mix it up with the Seychelles. So those sorts of itineraries go, they combine the Seychelles with northern Madagascar, and it'll often be the outer islands of the Seychelles, the southern islands. Now, Seychelles is a holiday. Well, it is for you, meaning it's white sand beaches, that azure ocean, snorkeling in its pristine reefs on some of the atolls. Hit and miss these days. I mean, sometimes you go to places and you think, oh, what happened here? But it's absolutely magical, and to get to these islands, a lot of these islands, you just wouldn't be able to get there on your own steam. It would be so hard to visit these islands where it's so easy on the ship. It's like cheating. So these outer islands that I'm talking about of Aldabra, Cosmolido, Estove, Desroches, Alphonse, Farquhar, some of them have single resorts or a very small community that live there, but largely we go there and we see just about no one, and we just soak it all up and have the most beautiful morning or afternoon, day. There's some amazing wildlife to be seen on these atolls, such as your booby colonies and other seabirds, frigates, waders, and then obviously in the water, the snorkeling is pretty spectacular as well at some of them. It's quite difficult for us, I must admit, the Seychelles. You've got big open ocean swells wrapping around these small atolls, and we've got to find a way to get you off the small ship onto an even smaller Zodiac, and the two are bobbing against each other, and then get you through a narrow channel where there could be a little bit of surf breaking, and get you across the lagoon and onto the beach where it's all like tra-la-la-la-la, as if nothing ever happened. So that challenge, I think, attracts a lot of staff as well. We do like to have that sort of adventure as well in our work, and it sort of definitely adds to how hard it is to achieve landing at a lot of these islands. Like I said, small atolls in a big ocean. And then the other elements of the Indian Ocean, you've also got the inner islands of the Seychelles, which are quite cosmopolitan. And then you've got Réunion, which is the French island right next to Mauritius. And we often turn around in Mauritius, otherwise Mahe, otherwise Tulia, and otherwise Dar es Salaam. So Réunion is actually France. It's kind of comical after the whole rabble and mess and mud and Africanness of the rest of the Indian Ocean. Then you get sort of France, and there's, you know, boutiques and boulangerie and bistros and other B words, and yeah, it's just really strange. You could definitely go spend a week there, and it's these high volcanic islands, waterfalls, lovely beaches, but it's very well to do and sort of delightful. So not a lot of people go there, and it's definitely certainly worth an adventure, but it sort of doesn't match the rest of the itinerary, if you know what I mean. Mauritius is a turnaround port. This is now a much bigger, more touristic type of island, but it's not to dismiss it as a place you might want to have a pre or post sort of extension if you feel like a few extra beach days. There's a lot of lovely hiking, nature walks, and beach and snorkeling activities, and some really nice exclusive resorts at Mauritius as well. But they would pale in comparison to what we would have seen in the Seychelles. And then on the other side, where we turn around to, is your Mozambique stuff, your Zanzibar and your Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam is the turnaround port, but Zanzibar is unique in the world. There's just nowhere else like it in the world. Somewhere equally unique, I would think of Marrakesh or something like that. But it's just such a wonderful cultural mixture of different influences over so many centuries, and it's all just laid out in this stone town village that we wander around. We normally can dock right there in the downtown and just explore Zanzibar for the whole day. So that's really pretty nice. And the other stop that we often do in Dar es Salaam, in Tanzania, is Kilwa-Kiswani, which is this UNESCO World Heritage Site that no one seems to know about, and it's like the lost city. In some ways, it's the most impressive archaeological ruins you might see in the whole Indian Ocean, and yet there's no one there. There's a few goats wandering around and a few locals and, you know, a few ibises in the mud flats, and we kind of like rock up and walk through these ruins as though we're the first ones to discover it. So it's really something special. And a couple of other islands in Mozambique we visit are also just so unvisited places with this interesting Arab and then Portuguese influence. So you've got your history, centuries of interesting history, coupled with your mainland Africa types of wildlife, particularly birds and things like that. We're not seeing the big game where we're going. You could do that on a post cruise, for example, but that's not on our Indian Ocean itineraries per se. And then sometimes we go all the way down to Maputo and even all the way around the Cape, but the nuts and bolts of the Indian Ocean is your Madagascar, Seychelles stuff, and I hope I continue to do that season for the rest of my life. If I were to just pick one area to cruise every year for the rest of my life, it would be Indian Ocean, or maybe Indian Ocean and Antarctica. So I hope to see you out there one day for a little adventure. And yeah, hope this was interesting. Enjoy the rest of your lockdown.